Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Bricks King podcast, where I'm going to bend your ear about Lego, review those amazing bricks of plastic, and discuss what is new and up and coming around the Lego world. I'm your minifig host, Matt. Let's build on it. Welcome in, everybody. How in the heck are you doing today? Hopefully you're doing quite lovely. Today we are back with a new episode, obviously, and we're talking about the Milky Way. We're talking spacey things, space things, which are important. The Milky Way, in which all of us on this planet of Earth live within the galaxy. Maybe there's another being that's hearing this and you're like, bro, I don't live in that galaxy. Props. Total props. Before we get into it, though, I just have to say I had a moment yesterday. My family had a moment yesterday where where we live way out in the country. I shouldn't say way out in the country, but we live quite a ways out. It's a very, 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 very flat area. We've had tornadoes. We had tornadoes come within, a week ago was within about a mile of here. Then we had other severe weather threats as far as tornadoes go, not within more than a few hours away, but it's here, right? You just never know in Texas on the plains, and things just open up, and before you know it, we've had crazy amounts of rain, which I know nobody really always likes to talk about the weather, but it actually had a severe impact on us yesterday. My son started a new job, and we were taking him, he's 14 years old. He's doing handiwork, basically, working at a farm, a llama farm of all places. And we were taking him yesterday. We dropped him off and we're on our way back. My wife and I had no idea how much it had rained the night before. Like, we're talking absolute torrential. And this is on top of 3-4 weeks of torrential rains, like monsoon style rains. It seems like every single time that there is any chance of a storm down here in this part of this county, we just get rocked. And we're not talking like an inch. No, we're talking like 4 inches of rain in a few hours. The week before, we had 3¼ inches of rain within, I think it was 3 hours, something like that. So we're talking severe rain, heavy rain, fast, a lot of water. And we just have some creeks around here, nothing wild or anything, nothing super large or anything. And there were 2 of them. There's 2 of them. And they were within a very close distance of one another. When I say close distance, I mean like half mile, quarter mile, maybe. And, you have these concrete bridges that are built over across the top of them. You've got some distance there. In some places, it's most bridges around the area, you're talking, 5-6 feet. Some, as low as maybe 3 feet. I don't know. And yesterday we dropped him off. We're coming back to go do our normal Sunday morning grocery store shopping, get provisions for the week. And we go over this one creek and the water's already kind of rolling across the roadway, right? We're like, it's nothing. It's like a heavy downpour type water on the roadway. You see it running across, and we kept going. Like, okay, we're going. Well, we're in this line of cars. Stop. And don't really know what's going on. I can see there's kind of water off on the one side, like in this giant, what I thought was a pasture, farmer's pasture. And I was like, okay, there's water up here somewhere, but like, I don't know what's going on. I can't see far enough ahead. And there's a big 18-wheeler, semi tractor trailer. I don't know what they're called over in Europe or the rest of the world. Anyway, this big truck. And I was like, okay, I can kind of see the top end of this truck, the car's out in front. And I was like, I don't know. I thought maybe there was an accident, I don't know. Just, things happen. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So we're all stopped. And then it was weird. So we're all stopped, and there's a few cars in front of us started like their reverse lights. They were just trying to pull forward a little bit and then turn. And I was like, what is going on? We were there, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes, something like that. Maybe not even that long. And so these cars start doing this, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? You know, can we please just go? Well, the creek in front of us, then at that point in time, had overtaken the road, and nobody was going through. This semi-truck was the last one to go through. So I saw him bend up around the curve I'm like, okay, well, he's gone. Not knowing, okay, the road is swallowed at that point on that side of it. Now, we had already crossed over the one bridge behind us. So everybody's like, okay, you know, let's turn around and go the other way. Well, everybody about faces, and the water's starting to roll over that one. And it's not just a trickle across the road. It's multiple inches deep at this point in time. And it's not moving super fast. It's not like a giant flowing river or anything at that point, but it's probably 50-foot swath wide of water rolling across the road. And I'm like, oh crap. I'm thinking, here we go. This entire section is going to flood, because where we are in relation in geography, there's a whole heck of a lot of water in these creeks that are already rolling down from up north of us. And they got smashed. So all of this is rolling down now. And I'm thinking, oh boy. So everybody, like I said, turn around, and now it's a decision of, well, what do we do? Well, there were 2 cars and a truck in front of us, and the truck got through. One of the cars ended up getting like semi-stuck for a moment and then went. The other car got through and then got stuck at the end. You can't see, I can't see the line anymore in the road. Mind you, country road, lines that are painted probably once in a decade, if that. And the center line. And this car had gotten kind of stuck on like the edge of the side of the road. I don't think it was water that was pushing it that got stuck. I think they just lost the edge of the road, and I guess one of the tires got stuck or whatnot. So I'm behind this, and I'm like, I got to get the hell out of here. So we just continue to drive. You know, no water's coming in the car at this point, but it is well up into the actual rim of the tire. So we just keep going. And we get to the other side, and I get notifications up on my dashboard, and it says, pull over immediately, stop safely, all this. I'm getting these flashing lights and stuff like that. I'm like, holy crap, now what? So we pull off. We're outside of the water range, and turn the car off, because that's what it wants me to do. Turn it off, and trying to figure out, like, what do we do? Like, I'm seeing all this back here, you know, another car ends up getting stuck, and some of these other trucks, because, you know, we live out in the country, everybody drives these big old trucks. So those were able to get through, and I don't have like a little sedan or anything like that. Like, I've got a smaller SUV. Anyway, it's like, crap, what do we do? Go to start the car. Not going. It's like, yeah, nope, I don't like you. Bells, whistles, flashes, all kinds of things going off. So I was like, okay. And our car is a hybrid. All 3 of our cars are hybrids. So I was like, okay, maybe, you know, something, I don't know, electrical, you know. So we call a tow truck. Tow truck takes us home. Definitely some water in the engine compartment bay under the hood. Don't know where it had gotten into, if it has gotten into. Don't know if it's just electronics and everything's, you know, wet. I don't know. So we got very lucky. Nobody died, fortunately, here. There was a sad situation, not the next county over, not too far away from us, about 10 miles, where somebody lost their life. They got stuck in the water, and the current just got, it's terrifying. And that's the first time I've actually ever had to deal with it, because, you know, I'm not driving into flooded waters. I'm not doing that. But there was no way out. There was literally no way out. It was go across the first bridge and risk where I don't even know how deep that is over there, or come back the way we came, where I know this just crested not that long ago. And it was just, it wasn't terrifying. It was just one of those things. And right now I beat myself up in my head. It's like, well, what if I would have done this? What if I would have said, hey, he's not going to work today because, you know, it rained last night? Or what if we can't do it today? Or Or just, what if, I had a flat tire prior to going, all of these things. You play the what if game to death, and it just absolutely destroys your mental capacity. So we've got a car going to, I guess, get looked at, and we'll see. That's why you pay car insurance, right? For situations like this. And the tow truck driver we talked to, he was like, "You're my fifth one today." Cool. Not cool. He told us the one that he had just lifted up was a brand new Audi car. And he said, as soon as I put it up on the bed, it just was pouring water out of the tailpipe. I was like, well, that's not good. So anyway, I had to share it. It was, it was just a crazy experience. But I guess that's what happens. You live in these low-lying areas and you just get crazy amounts of rain, man. So hopefully it dries out here for the near future. Anyway, we're talking about Milky Way, where there's no rain out there. At least, there could be. I don't know how you space rain, something like that. Anyway, the set number for the Milky Way Galaxy Lego art set is 31212. It has 3,091 pieces and retails for a cool $200, 200 euros. It is available for Lego Insiders starting May 15th through May 17th, and everybody else for May 18th. Now, I think this is going to sell pretty good. I really, really do. There's an accompanying podcast that goes along with this. By the way, you really need to use that when you go through it. You don't need it to build this. The facts are absolutely mind-blowing. Just a really lot of good information, and just it's just a nice dialogue to have when you're going through and you're building this. So like most art sets, at least in the past, they are built on that standard art brick plate type piece where you pin everything together. The first thing you do though with this is you build the actual frame of it, which is actually quite large. Now it is not, I've got the world map up here. It is not that kind of build. This build is greebling like crazy. There's a lot of cool stuff, and I can't remember what my art teacher called it. I had showed her a picture and I said, hey, and she told me the art style. But there's all kinds of different elements that get used in this, and we'll talk about some of them. But the really fun thing about this is when you're going through building this, you don't actually get the full picture of the Milky Way until you're done, obviously. But you don't even really get so much of a concept of what it is until you get pretty much to that last section. Because instead of building it, from top to bottom, you're building it from left to right. So you're building 3 plates at a time. So there's usually 2 or 3 bags. I think there's 31 total bags, but there's usually 2 or 3 bags to a plate. And it could be tiles, it could be plates, it could be bricks, it could be plant pieces, it could be helmets, it could be grill pieces, it could be slopes. There's even a little brick-built satellite telescope that is in here. You've got flower pieces. You have flags. We'll talk about some more in a minute, but there's just a lot of different things in a lot of different colors to be able to give that texture and give that feel and design and depth. And you really feel the depth a lot when you're finally finished and you take that step back and realize that is what this group of pieces did from this bag, or this group of pieces from this bag did. And it kind of builds up a lot for you to be able to see. And the main portion of that is in the center of this, where you have a lot of white and some tannish type pieces. That is arguably the tallest part of the build. Now, that is where you kind of feel like, oh, it's this kind of like a mountain idea that's going on. It's just the inner swirl, if you will, of the Milky Way, the way it looks. And it's just really well done. I'm a big fan of just how the parts usage was really put into play here. You've got window pieces and stuff like that. You have a Lego minifig bicycle helmet that is in here. You have a few of those, which is kind of funny to be able to put those in here. But it's kind of funny. You also have some glow in the dark pieces, the little underwater type pieces that we saw in the Avatar sets. So that is a nice thing to have as well. So as far as the build goes, a lot of really interesting facts. You could probably sit there and spend dear God, I don't know, quite a while going down a rabbit hole after you see some of these things, these different facts that are in there. It does have a tile on here that says you are here, meaning you, I, anybody that lives on planet Earth. This is where we are in the galaxy. And it's got a little arrow that points to it, and it is one of the glow in the dark type pieces. Now, on the outer rim of this thing, you have this beautiful telescope, this massive floating behemoth through space. And I didn't know this, but this is not a NASA thing at all. It's actually a European Space Agency venture. It is I'm just going to spell it out. It's the GAIA Space Telescope. It was launched by the European Space Agency, ESA, in 2013. A billion pixel Gaia Space Telescope has spent more than a decade traveling billions of miles through our galaxy. The Gaia's mission's impact on astrophysics and our understanding of how the galaxy evolved has been enormous. So far, Gaia has mapped the exact positions, motions, composition, temperature, and luminosity of more than a billion stars and other astronomical objects, or about 1% of the Milky Way. If that doesn't just say how tiny we are, my God, geez, my goodness. Whew. So I thought that was really fascinating. That was a really cool thing to see, and it's out on the outskirts of the build, but it's just really fun to have in there as well. Just due to the sheer fact, I mean, it's space. It gives you a kind of an understanding of size as to maybe not a size comparison, but you know, hey, we've got this telescope that does all this, and it's been out there for a decade now, and it has done almost nothing. It's got, 1% of 1% kind of thing going on, right? So it's just fascinating. So some of the other pieces that are in here, and I wanted to get to some of these because you have a bunch of different colors as well. You have some lavenders, you have different colored pinks, you got different colors of like a coral color, the salmon type color, which is awesome. You got different blues. You have a standard blue. You have the azure blues that are in here, some of the powdery type colors. Before we move on any further, I've got to take a quick break. We'll be back in a moment. Obviously, you have different colored tans. You have like the little flesh color that's in here. You have magenta. Then you have dark blue as well. Then you have these trans clear. What is it? This kind of like this purplish color tile, 1x2s, 1x4s, 1x1 rounds, 1x1 squares. And then you have a bunch of different cones of different colors as well. And everything is just kind of dotted throughout. You've got some other pieces in here, like you've got different fruit. You've got coffee mugs that are in here. You have gems that are in here. Believe it or not, there's a crab that is in here that is upside down with a flower stuck in its butt. You have some of the opalescence type pieces that stick on top of some cones and such like that. You have a brush of different colors in here. Other plant pieces. We have a bar that has a ball on the end of it. My goodness, we have carrots that are in here. I'd already mentioned the bike helmets, different kind of plants and stuff like that. We have cupcake pieces in here, a mixer, the little mixer blade that they use in an actual mixer, but in Lego City, they've got one here. We have frogs in here as well. We have upside down cracked egg pieces. We have hearts that are in here. And believe it or not, we have this one looking thing, and I'm not really sure what this is from. It looks like some kind of piece of cotton candy is what it looks like. And we have a few of those that are in here that are stuck in. It's got a little bar on the back end of it, but it's kind of, rounded at the top, like kind of cotton candy. We have a bunch of different shields, domes, whatever you want to call them in here. And they are in that opalescence, all the beautiful glitter that is in there. We have some binoculars that are in here. I mean, different kinds of cones and different tiles, different colors. We have ingot tiles that are in here. I think I'd mentioned the hearts already. We even have some flames that are in here. Why? Because why not? So you've got even clips that are in here. all of this gives you a different perspective and a feel and gives you a depth that otherwise I don't know how else you would go about getting it. And I totally forgot there's crystals in here. I just saw the one in here right in front of me. Every time you look at this, you see something a little bit different. You see a cavern in the sense of the physical piece that you have in front of you. You see kind of like a cavern in one spot that you may not have seen before, or you kind of see this little a section where your eyes get drawn to it and you're kind of like, wow, that is kind of crazy looking. I really appreciate that. But there's really not a whole lot of flat space in here. There are tiled areas. There are areas that have studs on them. There are areas where you just have plant matter sticking out. Oh, a fork. I totally forgot about a fork. I just saw it. I got some white forks that are in here along with some white teeth. And man, just this had to have been a Lego designer's dream to a certain degree. I'm sure the initial stages of this, they were probably like, oh, gee, many God, are you kidding me? I can't really go through and do this right now. This is not going like, oh, can you imagine the headache that this is? But anyway, so you do have this beautiful build, the You Are Here piece. It's a 1x4 tile here. Let me see if I can pop it off here. It is a print. So as I'd mentioned, so you don't have to be like, oh, is it? Yes, it is 100%. So that is nice to be able to get. And again, it points to your little element here that allows you to see, we are here. This is us. We belong in this place in our little solar system in this inside this galaxy. It's absolutely fantastic. Now, it does come with 2 hangers that are on the back of this. So it is hangable, which is great because that's exactly what you want. Same kind of frame build as the some of the other art sets, especially the world map. The difference with this, not only size, it's probably about a little less than half the size of the world map, probably closer to, I don't know what, maybe 40%, somewhere around there I can see. The cool thing about it is you can hang it on the wall. You could hang it. I told my wife, and I don't remember if I mentioned this when we did the breaking news about it. This would be fun to hang in like a bathroom or, a room that, you have guests or friends over once in a while, and just because it's a talking point and, it's one of those things where you're going to see something different than somebody else sees every time you look at it. And I'm sure there's some Easter eggs in here that I don't know about or don't have a clue about, but I'd really want to know about. So as far as the set goes, it's phenomenal. We're not done with it yet. I want to share something with you real quick. So it was completed and I had it out on our dining room table, which I was like, hey, I need to see it out in the light and stuff like that. My studio is kind of dark for very good reason. I don't need a whole lot of windows in here because I don't want the echo. So I had it out there and I'm looking at it and I'm seeing different things. And I took a picture of it and she was like, hey, send it to me. I said, okay. So I sent it to her. This was, I don't know, right after the embargo. And I sent it to her and I said, why do you want it? Like, you're the person that doesn't care whether you see another Lego piece in your life. And she said, I want to send it to one of the people that she works with. I was like, for what? One of the other therapists that she works with, her and her husband do Lego. They build Lego sets from time to time. And she had told her before about the world map. Like, hey, the world map, it was really cool. Back then, that's a number of years ago. And so I said, okay, you're going to send it to her, Well, she came back. Her response was incredible. Oh my God, I need to have that. That is so cool. When can I buy one of those? And of course, she wanted to know all the details and stuff. Somebody that is not in Lego consistently and thinks about it and constantly looking at things and prices and release dates and sets that are coming up and potential leaks and all of that kind of stuff, you don't really, you come across these things and it may be a year later, you realize, oh, they made a Milky Way Galaxy set. That's kind of cool. I like space. I want to buy that. It's kind of art. See, I can hang it on the wall. Unless you're in it, you're consistently hearing about these things, knowing about these things. You just hear about it when you hear about it. And like I said, it could be a year from now. And my wife told her how much it was. And she's like, oh, that's nothing. Now, mind you, everybody's in a different spot. I think she was expecting it to be more expensive, more in line with, and I don't remember what the world map was. Maybe the world, I don't think the world map was 200. I think it was a little more than that. Pretty sure it was more than that. But you just never know. You never know the response that you're going to get from people. And I told her, I said, well, it's going to be available this date. And if they are really interested in one, they should buy one and build it. And they're more of the people that will build this and take 3 months to build it. I could never do that. ADHD, ADD, under that umbrella, I would not come back to it. It would sit there. It would be bad. And I built this pretty quick. I built this over about three nights. So I don't know. There's probably about 8 hours in this, maybe. And mind you, everybody builds at a different speed for different reasons. I was just going. I was having a blast. I was listening to the podcast. I was just having a blast, just going at it. And you know, you put in certain sections, and you're like, that is cool. That is cool. It's really not that difficult to follow. I know a lot of people, when they build stuff like the world map and stuff like that, oh, this is tedious. Hey, I'm one of you. I was kind of like, this kind of sucks to a certain degree. You get done with it, you're like, okay, that was actually kind of fun. But when you're out there in the middle of those oceans, you're kind of like, oh, dude, I need to see more. My eyes are going cross-eyed. I need something else. This is not like that. This does require you to pay attention, very, very much so. This is not just putting a 1x1 round tile in a certain spot. You really need to pay attention when you're going through this, just so that you don't miss something and then come back and you're like, oh my God. And here's why. Yes, you're doing it in one little section at a time, right? One little plate at a time. But when you get into some of these areas, like if you start out on the edges and stuff, that's not a big deal. But when you start getting into the thick of some of these pieces that are taller and some of these pieces that are hiding behind other pieces, unless you're standing directly over top of it, you're going to miss it. If you missed it initially in the instructions, going back and finding it is extraordinarily difficult. I know this because I missed one single piece at the end of a bag and I was like, this should not be here. I went back through. I was like, I found it, but it can be a pain in the booty, just a wee bit. But that is to say this, one of the more fun art sets that I built. This is much more fun than the world map. The Rolling Stones one was different because that was basically just plates and stuff like that. It was built in an entirely different fashion. I like this kind of stuff. The greebling texturing that goes along with this. I really appreciate this. This is my wheelhouse. This made me happy. I like the world map and some of the others, you know, the crests that we've had and stuff. This is just different. It rings different. It feels different. It definitely feels different because you're putting down a lot of stuff. You're not just throwing a couple plates together and stuff. You are putting a lot of stuff down, but it is sturdy. It is solid. And as soon as this episode's over, it's going up on my wall. And, cause I bought a new building table and I'm excited for it. So I can't wait to hang it above that and go from there. So should we give it a score? I guess we can give it a score. If I were going to give it a score, let's go out of 10 like usual, but let's break it into two different categories here. Let's go with look and let's go with building technique / design. Now there's not anything in here where you're like, that is one of the coolest building techniques I've ever seen. That's not here. But in the overall build and the way that this was built, I've got to give it probably a solid 8.5. The reason I don't score it higher is this. I know, and this is the thing you hear. Emma Soros talked about this the other day when she was on a podcast. You get, sometimes as a fan media, as an ambassador or somebody that gets things early, you get lambasted from the outside looking in of people that are like, well, you're just a yes man. You're just saying what they want you to say. That's not the case. And I've brought this up before. I'm a giant Lego fan. There are very few things that I'm kind of like, yeah, I hate that. Or that wasn't very fun. Or that wasn't as cool as I thought. Very few times. But I've been like that my entire life. And I always come back to the mindset of like, hey, it's a kid's toy. Now, most kids are not building this art set, but it's essentially designed in that same way. Yes, it's adult centric, but it is still one of those things where it still kind of is a toy to a certain degree. And I just get engrossed in it. And I just, I get the same enjoyment over and over and over, just in a different way. So part of this is, yeah, the build was really fun, but I don't think it's going to be for everybody. The build was really fun, but I think some people are going to look at it and say, oh, that's kind of tedious. That's kind of boring. So I would say probably a solid 8.5 could probably push me to 8 3/4. Probably not anything beyond that. Now the art overall, the way it looks, I'm going with a 9. Sheer fact, every time you look at it, like I'd mentioned, you see something different. You feel a different thing, or it piques your curiosity and you're like, I wonder what that is. I wonder what that actually is. I wonder if that is actually mapped, that part of it. So you go down this rabbit hole and you go down the Google rabbit hole and you just, before you know it, it's an hour and a half later and you're like, I've learned so much. And then it leads you to other things. You start listening to astronomy podcasts and YouTube videos and start reading other literature. It's a crazy world we live in with all the information you have at your fingertips. So I'd say 8.5, 8 3/4, and then 9 for the art overall. I mean, you're averaging, it's about a 9 average. It's not a perfect thing, not at all, but it was extraordinarily fun to build. I think it's going to look really cool in some people's homes. I could see a way of lighting this that would really make it look fantastic. And to a certain degree, it almost kind of feels like one of those 3D art pieces. If you've ever seen one of those, I know when I was a kid, I was like, I don't know, probably 10 or 11, and my parents had one. I think, yeah. And you look at it and I could never see it, right? I could never really see the spaceship or whatever it was. I could never do it. You got to blur your eyes. This I feel better about because it's not that, but it's a similarity for me and maybe for others, but I could be 1,000% wrong. So cool set, fun build. Again, available May 15th through the 17th for insider access for all you early insider VIP folks. And then also May 18th for everybody else. So it's going to wrap up the episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you consider it. And if you do consider it or eventually do purchase it, would love to know your thoughts. So until we meet again, I'm your minifig host, Matt. Let's build on it.